one question that we're asked is whether coal ash or sewage sludge won't be allowed in the landfill. And Ernest, I think I'd love for you to speak to that question here initially.
Thank you, T. You know, the unique, I guess, thing that we did from the very, very start of this, when we started talking about host agreement and permitting, is we said from the very beginning that we were not going to accept coal ash and we were not going to accept sewage sludge. Now, people keep bringing up stuff on the internet and all that talks about us going to bring in coal ash, or it's going to change, or somebody can change it. We're going to have it in the host agreement. We're going to have it in a permit. Our lawyers are working on a third step that will definitely prevent it for 20 years. Unfortunately, we can't prevent it past that 20-year mark. But with that said, we've gone a step further and looked at Georgia Power's power plants and what their coal ash ponds closure schedule is. All the facilities that are within 50 miles of this site, the power facilities within 50 miles of this site, will be closed and the ash transferred or buried on site before we even open. Now we're going in even a further step, and we're looking at plants that are in South Georgia or outside that 50-mile range. Most of those will be closed prior to this opening. There are 5 plants that are generally in South Georgia that they don't have a defined date yet, but it would not be feasible, it would not be make any sense for them to haul at a great distance up to this facility.
We've been way out in front on this issue. We made it clear from the beginning we're not going to accept coal ash and we're not going to accept sewage sludge. That's not a part of this project. It'll be ordinary household MSW waste.
This is probably for you to tackle. It says you told us, I think they're talking about you, Ernest, told us the same thing in Meriwether, and you published your promises in a local paper, but you did not keep those promises. I'm guessing maybe they're talking about the promises about coal ash or something along those lines.
Well, Phil, I don't know any promises that we did not keep. And if anyone has a promise that was published in a paper that we did not keep, I'd be very interested in seeing that. Now, the opposition group has tried and has done a pretty good job of confusing people, saying that Meriwether County took coal ash. Meriwether County took coal ash for about 2 months, okay? Coal ash was not a prohibited waste stream in that facility. When that facility's host agreement was negotiated and permits and all were applied for, nobody in the furthest imagination ever thought that you would see coal ash leaving a utility company's own ponds there on site. It just, nobody imagined that. And then all of a sudden, the TVA coal ash spill happened in Kingston. EPA took over the project, and EPA designated Perry County as a facility that should receive that coal ash, mainly because of the fact that you've have 400 acres of white chalk underneath you down there, was extremely impermeable, much long before your liners. And even after that, people did not want to think about coal ash ever getting out of utilities. You know, we had a meeting with Duke Energy about the facility in Perry County. And the CEO of Duke Energy sat there and said in that meeting, well, we're Duke Energy and we don't have the kind of problems TVA has. Well, within 2.5 years, guess who the failure started with? Duke Energy. Nobody had a clue that all these coal ash ponds were going to start failing, but they did. Now, thank goodness here, we've said from the beginning, we're not taking those 2 items. But Meriwether County never had coal ash as a prohibited waste stream. Now, as far as not keeping promises, I welcome anybody to tell me what that might be.
Ernest, here's another question that came in. It says, when you sell the landfill, once it's built, and the next owner will get the special permit to dump coal ash, this has been done many times by this company. This is your MO.
No, wrong again. The only facility that we have that we have permitted that took coal ash was Meriwether County. And again, that's because it was not a prohibited waste in the permit or the host agreement. When somebody buys this facility, all the agreements that we make, the host agreement, the permit, all of it. And if we deed restrict the property, they cannot change those things, especially since we're going to be deed restricting the property. And so that's the difference in facilities that don't have host agreements and those that do. We can control that.
Okay.
And then after 20 years, first off, there's not going to be any more coal-fired plants that we know of. Most of the ones are being closed and converted to gasification plants. And so, you know, you have several reasons why coal ash isn't going to come to this facility.
Okay.
Beyond us just restricting it.
Here's a couple more that have come in. Let's see. How many landfills have you sold in the last decade? And of those that you have sold is now accepting coal ash?
The answer to that right now would be 0. And if you want to say which of those did accept coal ash, okay, there would be the one in Meriwether County. Now, Perry County accepted coal ash before we bought it. It was already there. We did not accept any coal ash in Perry County when we owned it.
And just so people are clear, Perry County is in Alabama. The Meriwether site is in Georgia.
Meriwether's in Georgia. Perry County is a little bit south of Selma.